Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, the podcast, episode 60 something. I don't know. We're in the 60s. Today, if you're on YouTube, you see that I've got Ray Cheesy right here next to me. Ray, thank you so much for taking the time. How you doing?
Good, man. I appreciate you. This, like I think we talked a little bit off camera a little bit. I love this, podcast stuff. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to, discussing some things with you.
Yeah, this will be fun, guys. If you don't know Ray, you don't really watch Twitch much, but if you don't watch Ray, he's the BR guy. There are many great BR players in this community. My first ever interview for this podcast a year and a half ago was with Scuffy. I've had Yayo on. I've talked to some folks, but Ray has, as of recording, this is Thursday, November 18th, 27 flawless this year. So it's the flawless guy. I don't know how many possibly have more than that. There might be a handful, but not many.
Yeah, I think I've counted. I think there's, at least that I know of. I mean, there might be some random people out there that I don't know any about. I think there's 4 people right now that have more than I do, that I know about at least. So trying to get up there at some point. We'll see though.
That's crazy. So guys, really quick update or housekeeping type of thing. I'm recording, like I said, on Thursday, November 18th. These come out on Tuesdays. Tomorrow, as in Friday, is my birthday stream. So I'm just going to say now, before it's happened, it went great. Thank you guys so much for being there. Had a great time. Played some MLB, played some Pokemon, did the whole 9. We had a great time, I think. I hope. I'm assuming.
Happy early birthday, by the way. I didn't even know that. So happy early birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, the big 29.
Oh, 29. I just turned 26 this year, so.
Yeah, it's once you get after like 25, you're like, oh, everything's different now.
Dude, when I hit 23, so that's like when I got out of college, my just dive bomb from there. So
yeah, once you wake up at 25 years old, you're like, I am at my best a quarter of the way through my life. What have I accomplished? What have I done?
And you get those aches and stuff too. It's like, man, I shouldn't feel this old, but I do, and it's not good.
I feel that. Also, guys, as far as updates go, this is the first YouTube episode I've recorded since moving into my new place. So this is our new setup. Subject to change here and there. We're still working on some stuff. We're going to see how this goes. But this is it. So come see it more often on Twitch, twitch.tv/kdjTV. Before we talk a ton about BR, because that is obviously a chunk of, or a bulk of what this episode is going to be, it'd be silly for us not to talk about Finest. Obviously, this is the day before the TA5 drop, so we've yet to see everything. But they've hit us with what we expected were Secret 1 and Secret 2. The choice packs are here, and some of these cards are insane. I mean, the card art makes them all look insane, but some of, like, Bo Bichette is gross. Austin Riley's nasty. Charlie Morton might low-key actually be a top 5 to 8 starter in the game. But what are your thoughts on Finest so far?
Yeah, I mean, you come into it and you always know they're going to juice Finest cards
a lot.
And, this year, I think it's even more than last year. I mean, just last year, I think it was Freddie Freeman had like some disgusting splits last year. And like
Terrible.
This year, it looks like, because Jesse Winker came out, they gave him like 89 contact versus lefties and like over 100 power versus lefties. And obviously he sucked against lefties this year.
Yeah.
So
I just pulled him up. He's 98-105 against lefties.
Yes.
And that is far better than he deserves.
100%. But I'm cool with that. Like, I love when they do stuff like this. Finest has always been a really cool thing. Walker Buehler is another one that was a great ad, and Carlos Correa today too.
Yes.
I think he almost has like 99 fielding too. So it's
they gave him once you P5 him, once you P4 him, he's got 99.
Yeah. So I mean, they always outdo themselves, and just seeing these guys compared, the actual collection guys, and all the guys are going to come out tomorrow. I can't even imagine what Tatis is going to be. He's going to have 125 power. He's probably going to have 120 maybe even 120 contact. Fielding's gonna be insane. Juan Soto, I mean, they're gonna be insane. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, and I think it's gonna be probably the biggest content day I think we've ever had in MLB show history. So I
think so. Plus, we have those collections coming tomorrow. So, guys, in the next episode that I record after this, obviously we'll talk a little bit more about collections and things like that. But quick, talking about juicing cards, I'm not going to shit on Frank Schwindel, but the man played 60 games. I don't even know how many games he played. The dude has basically max hitting at P2 against in 3 of the 4 major hitting categories. And sure, he's like, useless in the field, but if they're juicing Frank Schwindel, I can't wait to see Juan Soto.
Yeah. I actually did like a little thing before TA5 came out with my predictions. I actually had Frank Schwindel there, and I think he played in 56 games. I think overall he played 56 games. And if I remember right, either his power or I think it's power and his contact versus righties is almost maxed out. I think it's righties or it's lefties.
It's contact right, power left.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. So right there. And like, I mean, obviously he had a good year. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be insane. Like we talked about how these other cards are going to turn out, and, some mini Babe Ruths, mini Mickey Mantles, we're going to see a lot of these good cards. So,
yeah, I like what they did. In the past, I think they've been a little more like reliant on what team the person played for. So what I mean by that is like, you basically had to play most of your games with that team, but we've got a Schwindel who I actually thought they'd give Wilson Contreras a card. And I know he was just okay, but he's like the last remaining Cub. So I thought they'd juice us with a Wilson Contreras, but they gave Starling Marte in 99. And I know he was incredible with the A's, but that was a mid-season pickup and they still gave it to him. So I like that. I also think they had to because of TA3. TA3 gave us so many nasty cards, they couldn't repeat a ton of them.
Yeah, TA3. I mean, at the time it was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love TA3, but looking back on it now, I think it was a little bit too much, especially Jake DeGrom,
too much too fast.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much. And I mean, obviously these cards would be insane. Those cards are good. So it's just going to be an awesome way to see TA5 and see Team Infinity kind of go out and everything.
And while we're talking about so many cards, I think everyone can agree, gameplay aside, because that could be a whole separate, very long tangent. The content this year, in terms of what they're giving us, is fantastic. Like we mentioned, the order of how they give it to us is probably, it needs a little work. Like, why are they giving us an irrelevant 99 Al Kaline in this event in November? We could have used him in May.
Yeah.
Beside the point. But what comes with all the content, and especially all the 99s, is that really hits you in BR. Because there are now almost, you're never going to have the same team in BR ever. Yeah. Even whether it's head to head or even like yourself, you'll never ever draft yourself an identical team because there's so many cards. And they did that as well with, now we have silver and gold flashbacks of some of our guys who we should have had in the past and never did. Yeah. I know a lot of people were calling for that and asking for that. But my point of this entire tangent here is, do you find that there is such thing as too many cards for BR, or do you kind of like it, how spicy and different it is every single time?
To me, the more content, the better, right? I mean, it's always nice to have these cards that are insane that, usually would never get a card like they do, obviously with the finest and everything. And I actually like it. I don't mind it at all. I mean, there's the more to choose from. There's more swings to analyze. There's, because there's certain swings that are better than others and stuff like that. I think one thing we missed last year were these flashback cards that now we have this year with the silvers, and the golds that you were talking about earlier. And that was something we missed a lot last year. For some reason, I don't know why they didn't do those last year. That was really weird. But adding those cards and obviously all the other content we have, player of the month, all that stuff, man, to me, I love it. I always try to find a new card maybe within each run that I would never, ever use, but they end up being somebody really good. And that to me is probably one of the funnest things.
And before, guys, we're going to talk a lot about the positives of BR, some keys to BR. I mean, after all, 27-time BR flawless, 2-time BR flawless. So 29 combined flawless. I should have just said 29 combined and not actually given a breakdown, but like 29 combined, I think we might have at least one tip for you.
Exactly.
Ray, probably more than myself. But before we talk about the positives, everything in this game can be improved. And that's not just for this game. That's for basically any game. There's always things to improve on. And BR, for the most part, hasn't changed much over the past couple of years. I know they gave us the extra diamond rounds this time. They gave us the missions with those cards. That doesn't really fundamentally change the mode. It does change maybe strategy, but it doesn't change the mode. Are there some downfalls to BR? Are there some things that you personally would like to see fixed, or like if you had your say, you would just be like, this is what it should be?
Yeah. For me playing it as much as I have, I've been playing Diamond Dynasty consistently, religiously since it came out. I think in 2013 might've been the first.
I think it was 13 or 14, maybe.
Yeah, 13 or 14.
Range. Yeah.
And I think they actually introduced BR in MLB The Show 16, maybe 15. I don't know if it was 15 or 16, but it has changed a little bit since then. You know, the stamina now that we have, because back in, I think they changed that in 19, stamina actually, you know, made a difference in Battle Royale or just in general within the game. You can throw the same picture every single game if you want to. That's just how it used to be. And the 3 batter minimum rule is another thing that they added, and the runner on second. Runner on second BR is like the worst thing ever.
Terrible.
It's so stupid. I think they've already nixed that for next year. So, you know, hopefully we never had that again. I think that was more of a, you know, COVID 2020 season. It just kind of carried over a little bit. So that definitely next year needs to be gone. That was probably the worst thing they could have added in there.
Because it is literally in BR, especially, it's a guaranteed run. If it's all-star or lower difficulty, it's a guaranteed run. It's hard not to score it.
Yeah. And it's that's one thing that I think that a lot of people didn't like, even within the game, even Diamond Dynasty too, or like ranked season. I don't think people really love that either, but it's how the MLB did it. So whatever, you know, that's how it goes. One thing I would love, and I think we talked about this a little bit with some, I've talked about with some other people, was, you know, difficulty changes or having these different tiered BR. You know, if you go into a Hall of Fame BR, you can get these different tiered rewards, or, you know, if they ever do like a legend BR, I mean, I know it'd be super crazy and whatnot, but all-star to me is, you know, I play it the most, and I think it's the most RNG to the competitiveness of each game mode that we have, because nothing, you know, is below that. You know, there's no veteran and rookie unless you're really low in ranked seasons, which, you know, you could be. But I would love to see a Hall of Fame BR. And MLB The Show 18, they did it for like, I don't know if it was a couple weeks or a month or something like that. And I think there's a lot of positive feedback with it. Now, granted, 18 was a horrendous game, probably
very
the worst.
Horrendous. Yeah.
I think it was probably the worst MLB The Show game we've ever had with content and, you know, just gameplay and whatnot. But I would love to see a Hall of Fame and maybe different tiered lists or different tiered rewards. If you try to go for a higher difficulty, that you can get these, you know, these crazy rewards. I did love the BR program that they added. That I do love that. I do think it kind of took away a little bit of the value from going 12-0. But, you know, the big thing last year, we had all these cards like Chipper Jones. You couldn't get them. So I know why they did it, and it totally makes sense. And I'm not against it whatsoever. So I actually did really like that as an ad. I think that was a really, really positive thing for people to get those rewards. And that was a huge problem last year. So I think that was a really big thing there. But yeah, I mean, I just love BR. This is the game mode that I play the most. Legend by far this year I think has been the hardest legend we've ever had.
It's impossible. I mean, I started making World Series for the first time in last year's game, because that's when I made the switch from TV to monitor and became like a real MLB The Show player.
Right.
And even then, like the second I made World Series, I was like, mission accomplished. I'm not touching Legend. But now that you can match up with a Legend person to get into World Series much easier when you're on like the cusp of getting to 900, it's so not fun. It's not fun at all. And I like guys like Chev, guys like any of like the like really young competitive guys that are always in these qualifiers and these tournaments and things, like Scan's always on Legend. I don't know how they stay sane. Like, I really don't know how they do it, because it would destroy me.
Yeah, it's, you know, I consider myself a pretty competitive person, but I've always made World Series, you know, I've always done that, but this year Legend just, man, it's just different. It's a different animal. They made it so much harder. And watching these tournaments, like you said, it's insane seeing these guys put up, you know, 10 plus runs on each side.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's unreal. And I don't know, it's cool for them to see that. I'll never get to that point. I used to be way more competitive back in, you know, 19. I won some money in ESL before. So I've actually done, you know, pretty well in those, but I don't think I have that anymore in me. And it's insane to see what those guys do.
Yeah, I couldn't, especially, you know, it's Legend, and then it's Outlier plus Legend, and it's Pinpoint plus Outlier plus Legend. It all compounds on itself, and it makes it almost impossible.
Yeah, it's I think it's a nice skill gap. Like, don't get me wrong, but I do think with just the way that ranked season is structured, it's always been the same. And I really love to see some different variety there, or maybe even boost up Legend to 1,000. I know that was a big topic a while ago. So we'll see if they change anything. I hope they do a little bit, but you know, we'll have to see what happens next year.
Yeah, I mean, on the spirit of changes, we're going to talk about more BR changes, because I have a couple ideas too. But talking about ranked seasons changes first. Ranked seasons, Chev has said this a million times, it's not a true competitive mode, because there are rewards. You play to get the reward, and you can be done. What they should, in my opinion, what they should do, you have your same 900 scale, If you make it to 900, boom, your World Series Hall of Fame difficulty only, you get the reward. They should have a separate mode that's entirely on Legend all the time, from the first game you play to the last game you play, and it's just about your ranking. There's no rewards, there's no nothing. It's just a ranked scale. That's it.
Yeah, that's actually, I like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's ranked seasons have been stale for a couple. I mean, ever since ever since it was introduced. I think back in 16 or 17, making World Series meant a little bit more. It was a lot harder to do back then. They've made it obviously a lot easier with, the adding of Xbox and whatnot. But, weekend league is another thing that's been thrown around for years too, that we love to see. And I think that would, give another competitive environment. And, just along with ranked seasons, I don't think there's another game mode online competitively that you can actually have a created player on.
Oh, I hate that too. Yeah, I absolutely hate that so much.
It makes zero sense to me. Caps, to me, they're way drawn out. I mean, they, back in the day, it was fun and cool, but now with all these like weird releases, these glitchy things you can do, it just, I don't know. I hate creative players. I hope that they get rid of them in the near future.
When they were like, oh, you can, this was years ago too. I'm not even saying right now, but years ago, they were like, oh, you can create yourself in the game and then play alongside Mike Trout or play. But now that they have the rights to so many different legends, and next year, now that they've got all this Xbox money in the bank, they're going to have even more legends. I don't want to see myself next to Mike Trout. I want to see Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, and Ken Griffey in the outfield. I don't that's what I want. Yeah,
I hate it. It just takes away from the game, in my opinion. And you have all these guys that we want to use, and all these guys that we're just kind of wasting rights on too. I mean, if you're going to be using guys like that, now I get it. Maybe in the beginning of the game because everybody is trying to have that competitive edge to a degree. But at this point in the year, if you use a creative player, I mean, I don't know. It just seems a little cheesy to me. But I mean, anybody can do what they want to. I don't care. But
no judgments. Just thankfully, I have not seen as many cap pitchers as I thought I would. They've mostly been like catchers or some second baseman, things like that.
Yeah, I think I've faced maybe one or two. I maybe played 100 ranked season games this entire year. So I think maybe one or two times, and one of the time I actually got a friendly for it. So that was awesome. And one time the dude brought him in when I was already winning. So I guess, I don't know, it wasn't that bad, but I couldn't imagine facing that all the time.
No, I'd hate it. Yeah. Going back to switching some BR stuff around, the two ideas I had. So I think there's a problem. This is across all game modes that are competitive online with the rating scale. And I don't mean your ranked seasons rating. I mean like your modded rating, how you match up, the matchup system.
Yeah.
BR, a true battle royale, should just be, if I'm 1-0, my next game's against a 1-0. If I'm 2-0, my next game's against a 2-0, like a ladder system. That means when you're playing your 12-win game, it's against another person going for their 12-win game. Yeah. That is like a true do or die playoff type of feeling. I know people who lose that game would probably be pissed beyond belief that they spent all that time to lose, but I feel like that sets you up for a true flawless game. Like, I don't know if I'm off base on that. You play more than I do, so.
Yeah, no, I think actually I don't mind that. I never really thought about it that way. It's actually really funny because when you get to about like 8-0 and 9-0, those are always the toughest games in my opinion, because once you get above that, the rating scale goes all the way. And when I mean all the way, it goes from 0 to 2,500 and plus, which means you can literally match up with anybody. Yeah, doesn't matter. The guy who first picked up a game, or the person who's like nuts out of his mind. Yeah, yeah. And so I say, like, once I get to 9-0, about that time, it's kind of like a chillax a little bit, because like you got through the gauntlet a little bit. And, even today, so I actually went 11-0 today. And of course I choked my 12-0 because that's what I've been doing lately. And the dude, I think, was like, he had a losing record. He didn't look like he played a lot, but he ended up beating me. So congrats to him. But yeah, I shouldn't be playing that dude in my 11-0 game. I mean, no, it's not fair. And I'm sure when he saw my banner, he's like, oh, what the heck? Why am I playing this dude in my game? So yeah, I wouldn't mind that. That would make it a lot more competitive. And granted, at this time of the year, not as many people are playing, so it is harder to find games. But like when the game first comes out, it's so much easier to find games. It kind of does work better that way. But I wouldn't mind what you're saying too. That's not a bad idea at all.
And so I thought about this, and then literally as you're talking, I'm thinking about my own idea more that I'm about to present. And I'm like, oh, that won't work unless it's different. But basically what I'm babbling about like a moron is, what if you had maybe like a, not a separate mode, but a separate section of BR where you can queue into a 64 person bracket.
Okay.
and you're playing towards the end of the bracket, like a normal NCAA tournament type of style.
Right.
The caveat being like, okay, you only have 15 minutes to queue into your next game. Otherwise, it's a forfeit and the person moves on. This way to keep it moving.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be kind of cool because then you're actually playing the people progressing in the same direction as you. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's actually funny you say that because I know Scuffy has ran tournaments like that, right?
Yep.
Where it's like they've done March Madness. I think it's March Madness Invitational. They've done it some years in the past. I don't know if they've done it now.
And Scuffy's a very smart guy. So
exactly right. And shout out to Scuffy because I don't know why SCS hasn't hired him yet. Hopefully at some point they do.
Yes.
Because he has a great ideas. And I actually like that. That's actually a really good idea too, is having some sort of tournament atmosphere within BR. I think that'd be really fun, actually. That's actually that's a really good idea.
Maybe that's the way to be like, okay, this is a Hall of Fame. This is a Hall of Fame bracket. That's it. You have all stars, your normal run, and then your bracket's something a little more difficult.
Yeah, I like that. Introduce another game mode, right? I think we're all wanting another game mode. We have had Battle Royale and ranked seasons and events. If you play events too, it'd be cool to introduce that, just like Weekend League. Like we said earlier. I like that idea. Actually, that's actually a really good idea.
On the subject of events, now that you bring it up, this is just me complaining because all I've been doing on Twitter is complaining about it the last 48 hours. Hall of Fame events can go away. And the fact that they gave us 2 in a row with the worst rewards of the year, when Finest is dropping and this event goes through the 23rd, what are you doing, guys? What's happening? I don't play events to be upset. I play events to hit a bunch of home runs and have slugfests against people. That's it.
Yeah, I have played one event. I played one event this year with that Jason Dominguez, ever say his name. That
card's nuts.
Yeah, that's really the only one I really played. And that was might have been the first event or second event. It was one of the really, really early events.
I think it was at Polo.
Yep. It was locked at Polo. That's the only event I really played. Other than that, man, events, they just don't mean anything. And when I say that, back in the day when you actually got 12 wins in events, you got an event specific award. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why they went away from that. It's kind of weird. They've obviously added on to adding packs and all this stuff to it. But to me, events has just been super stale, and I just go and buy, I go 12-0 quite a bit. So I just go buy the rewards anyway.
Yeah. You've got the stubs for it.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit there and play 60 games for a card I'm never going to use. It just, I don't know. Events have kind of always been just like a placeholder for something for people to do, which I think is cool how they've been able to player lock stadiums. And I think it's stuff that they're trying to get to more competitive wise in the future. But it just, I don't know. There's really no, I don't know. I just don't like playing events. It's never been my thing, I guess.
Yeah. And so for this event, it's Hall of Fame awards and prime cards. If you're going to give me a Hall of Fame event, let me use whatever cards I want because so the 15 win reward is prime Noah Syndergaard. I'm only playing to get that one for my collection tomorrow because prime is probably going to be one of the harder ones to do. Exactly. That awards Al Kaline, I'll let other people get it and I'll buy it from them. I'm not playing all the way through that. That's frustrating. This has been a terrible event. I hate it. I really do.
Yeah. Like I said, I just don't play events anymore. Like I said, I played one event. Maybe next year they change it, but I think if they added a little bit more of a 12-0 reward for it, I think it would be a little bit better in my opinion, just like how they used to have it. But I don't know. It's a place for them to try things. That's what I like about events. It's a place for them to, we have quick counts sometimes and stuff like that. It's a place to try things. And I think that's kind of the placeholder it has is doing that. But I just have never really loved it. So I stay away from events.
Yeah. Last year, I think they had the worst event ever conceived. It was at maybe Sportsman's Park or no, it was, what's that one with 800-foot deep walls and they're all brick and they're tall. It's where Clemente had to do a lot of his moments.
Forbes Field.
Sorry. Thank you. Yes. It was at Forbes. It was Hall of Fame. It was contact prominent hitters only, like power under 50. And it was for Pee Wee Reese. Guys, that's the worst thing ever conceived. Why would you ever torture us with that?
I don't even remember that, to be honest with you. I probably would just,
I didn't play it. I was like, fuck it. I'm out of here. I'm not doing it.
I was just say every event that ever comes out, I didn't even know Al Kaline was even added until today. I looked at it. I'm like, yo, where did this card come from? I don't know where I've seen this.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, everyone's like, oh, it's from an event. I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to worry about that. So.
I never really grinded events until this year. I would play events just to get the reward card and stop. But now with the parallel system, which is incredible, and I love it. It gives you much more incentive to grind through stuff like events, because not only are you getting wins and rewards, you're making your players better.
Yeah, I think in last year, that's when it kind of started too, because you had prestige, right?
Yeah.
And that's what events ended up being. It was just prestige boosting. That's what people would just do, honestly. I think in 18 was the most I played the event. And if you remember in 18, they had the Phil Necro relief pitcher. And that was before I was like really in the community and I really like understood what I was doing. And I would throw that man almost all the time. And I do now looking back, I'm like,
and
dude,
people are definitely like, I hate this motherfucker. Yes. Ray Cheesy. Who the hell is this guy?
Oh, 1000%. Dude, I turned off my message because I guaranteed that I would have got killed there. And rightfully so. I just did it because I don't know. I just wanted to win. And that's like back in 18, it mattered a little bit more in events, like we said, with you get specific event rewards if you go 12-0. And that's like the last time I really grinded events. I don't really play anymore, obviously. So again, it's a placeholder for something that they can always change. It's something to do at some points, but to me, I just stay away from it.
Also weird. I have weird things that pop into my head sometimes. We're talking about going 12-0 in events and BR, and we usually end around the 12th inning program. Why are we going to 12 in all these MLB things, SDS? Can we just go to 9 and like extend them or something? Like, I don't know. Like, it's a 9-inning game. What are we doing with 12? I don't know.
You know what's crazy is back in MLB The Show 16. I don't know how long exactly you played MLB The Show or whatnot.
Yeah, I played pretty religiously through 15, then took a couple years off and came back.
Okay, so in 16, I don't know if you know,
that's the one I didn't play. Yeah,
Battle Royale was actually 20 wins in a row. So you had to go 20-0.
I would kill myself. That's all.
Yeah, which I never did. I got to 20. So I got to 20 wins one time. That's after I lost, and I didn't get the floss reward. That was insane. That back then was nuts. I don't know why they came up with 20-0. I don't know where that came from.
Someone was like, "Let's torture the whole community." Like,
yeah, and that's when crazy. They had like Louis Tiant too. Like, he was the reward. So like if you got him, like you could spam him every game back then too. So like ranked seasons, you'd have the guys that went 20-0. They would spam Louis Tiant with the knuckleball, and he had a decent fastball too. So I mean, it's gotten better over the years, but still there's a lot of things they can work on.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I think we're going to take the ad break a little early in this episode because we got a really hefty back half with all the, we're going to give some BR tips. Like I said, maybe talk about best budget BR players, or budget isn't the right word, but like bronze guys you can use, silvers you can really use. And just we're going to go from there. So very first, we're going to hear from, you're going to hear my paper shuffle right now, professional podcaster, Thrive Fantasy. As always, Thrive Fantasy is great. It's the best daily fantasy sports app because it's based around player props. Thrive Fantasy has eliminated the need to do countless hours of research like other DFS apps because it only asks you about the top tier athletes in a respective sport. To play, you can't play MLB games anymore. That season's over. To play NFL, NBA, and whatever else, esports on Thrive Fantasy, choose 5 out of the 10 player prop options to build your lineup. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over or under based on how likely it is to occur. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points possible, and you could win a share of the prize pool. If you're looking to play games and make a little bit of extra cash, use promo code TheShowThePod when you sign up for Thrive Fantasy today, and you'll receive an instant $20 bonus on your very first deposit of $20 or more. Download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store or the Play Store, or by going online to thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and prop up today. Next ad, a little controversial because Ray is a G Fuel guy. That's fine. Rogue Energy is real good too. Rogue Energy, what I like is that it completely dissolves in water. I've had problems in the past with some other energy powders that maybe don't dissolve all the way. But Rogue Energy tastes great. They have flavors that are a little bit different from G Fuel. So if you want to try something just completely different, give it a shot. If you use coupon code kdjTV, you get 10% off your entire order. They have the energy formula. They have the hydration formula. That's the one I like the most. They also have a shake, something a little bit different. Like I said, no chalky texture, dissolves completely, tastes amazing, and affordable if you use coupon code kdjTV. So Rogue Energy is the world's most delicious gaming drink. People on YouTube, that's literally what it says right at the bottom. I typed it. I didn't make it up. All right. So BR, the keys. I feel like everybody's got their own strategy. Most strategies overlap. I think as a community, we've basically learned for the most part that our starting pitchers don't matter. Of course, we could pivot and make changes as the draft goes on. Also redrafting. If you don't like your team, redraft it if you have the stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep playing. But basically, like if you were to give 3 above all the keys to BR, it could be drafting, it could be gameplay, it could be pitcher strategy. Like what are we talking here? What are your big like tent pole things?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things obviously is pitching. Pitching is a huge thing in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Biggest thing that I always, and this has helped me personally, is starting pitchers. I always, if I can get both the commons there, if you get lucky enough to get them there, and then go with the bronze cards. Now, there are some outliers where you have some silvers or maybe even some golds. Very few golds you want to take as a starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously depends in the draft and where you are too, when you're drafting and stuff. Aaron Savale, Dustin May, some really, really good silver cards to actually use.
Taiwan Walker, you might be able to throw into that mix. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You throw them in there too. There are a lot of guys like that. Bronze cards, you have like Jeff Samardzija. Joe Nathan's a pretty good one now they just came out with. Marco Gonzalez was another one I actually just used today.
That one. Mike Leake is in there.
Mike Leake. Yeah. And those guys, if you're getting a bronze pick, try to take those guys because you can actually use them. I probably wouldn't try to use them a ton, but if you're on the lower tiered games, you can actually try to use those guys. If you get stuck with the gold, you can maybe stick with a Chris Bassett, some guys like that. Biggest thing is a sinker cutter mix. That's usually what you want, for pitching. And then obviously when you get to the bullpen, then silvers and golds. I always tell people this, do not take diamond pitchers. I think diamond pitchers to me are a waste because now we have 4 diamond draft picks, right? So why would I want to waste a diamond reliever that I could use for 1 game out of maybe 3? Maybe you can go back to back if you want to, when I can be using a diamond hitter, every game, every single time. So I always tell people that.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
No, you're good.
My very first, I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100%. I'm not disagreeing.
Mm-hmm.
My very first flawless was 99 Kenley and 96 Raleigh Fingers, and they shut shit down every game. I alternated 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. I must have faced really bad hitters that whole run, but it worked. I never felt more comfortable pitching in BR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but then like my second flawless, I was like, "No, we're just gonna take all the hitters."
Right, and it's different for everybody. I'm not saying it's the only way to do it. I just think in the experience that I've had, especially with how much you can foul a ball off and how tired it makes your pitcher. So just think, you have a diamond pitcher, they're already coming in usually like for whatever reason, when you throw like 2 pitches, they're already in the yellow.
Yeah.
So
instantly.
they're already tired. So then I go in and I foul off 10 pitches in that bat. They're getting close to the red, and it's like, why did I use this guy when I could have had a diamond hitter there instead? That's what I always tell my viewers, and a lot of people come back saying, "Yeah, man, this helped me out a ton." So thank you. Some of the silver and bronze, now you can definitely get bronze guys in the bullpen. And I think a lot of people don't know about that because there are a lot of bronze guys that are very usable. Someone like Sam Coonrod, sinker cutter guy, throws very hard. Aaron Bummer, Jake Diekman, Lou Trevino, Adam Ottavino, Matt Andrisi, Ryan Thompson.
Chaz Rowe is one of my favorites.
Chaz Rowe, yes. There's so many lower tiered guys that people I think glance over because they maybe never used them, never heard of them, but they're very good picks and they're guys you can definitely use. Silver wise, it used to be Blake Trine. Now Blake Trine's obviously a gold. To me, he's the best reliever in the game. I don't know why. At least in BR, he translates really well. It's tough to hit off of him. He's my first P5 guy actually.
Really?
Live
series Blake Trine?
Yeah, live series Blake Trinan. I got him number 2. I wasn't even trying to. All the guys that have P5, especially my BR drafts now, I have done it just by playing BR. It's not me going out of my way to do it. So he was he was a silver for pretty much the entire year. Lefty relievers come in at premium. So if you get a lefty reliever, always try to take them. Chris Sale, Zach Britton, the Silver Aroldis Chapman, like those cards are must-haves. If you ever see them in a draft, please take them because they will.
Is there a number of lefties you look for on that? Like, I always feel comfortable with 3 in the bullpen, and I hope to God I have an extra 1 or 2 in the rotation just in case.
Yeah, I usually try to get 4. If I get at least 3, I'm not doing. There are very, very few runs that I'll even do it 2. That's if you get 2.
I'll redraft if it's 2.
Yeah. I've had maybe like 2 12-0 runs this year with 2 lefties. It's just, it doesn't work out very well. If you're going to get 4, I think that's a little bit ideal, especially if you get like a bronze, like Aaron Loop was another guy I missed too, that you can get in there as well. Like I say, lefty relievers coming at a premium. You don't see them as much as righties because obviously there aren't as many lefty guys, in MLB right now. So pitching, to me is, I think it's probably the biggest thing, because if you don't get good pitching, you're not going to compete with anybody. That's just how it is, especially if you're playing at somebody that knows what they're doing and know how to play the game. They're going to, if you draft freaking James Karinchak, right? 2 pitches, fastball, and a curveball. The 2-pitch guys never draft. If you're playing as somebody who knows how to play the game, I promise you, they are going to destroy every one of those guys. Because, I mean, you got Edwin Diaz is another one. You know, these guys have the fastball, curveballs are the worst. If you can get fastball, sliders are not good either, but they're better than fastball, curveball. It's, you know, it's a little bit harder to read, but still. So those, always stay away from those guys. You sinker cutter, that's, you know, it's how it's been through the meta the entire year. Another thing too, and I think people get caught up in this, is they try to draft cards that look really good attribute wise, but they might not be good with. And so when I say that, like, say you come up with, I don't know, we can talk about Al Kaline, right? I don't know much about him, but like,
he's got a shit swing every year. So we're just going to operate under the assumption that, again, he has a shit swing.
Exactly. Right. But his attributes are really good, right? I mean, he's got really good attributes, but I would rather have an Alberto Mondesi. I think Alberto Mondesi is the best BR pick because his swing is amazing. He's my second P5 guy, by the way. Amazing hitter. And people don't know this either, but you can literally play him anywhere. You can play him in the outfield. It doesn't matter. He'll play anywhere.
And his attributes don't matter.
Yeah, right. And he will get a little bit of a hit there, but I think he still has like 70 fielding. But the thing is, he's got 99 speed, right? So it kind of makes up for that little bit that you get right there. And so I think people's eyes get big when they see these really, you know, these hefty guys, but it really only matters about their swing and, you know, your approach with them. So like Mondesi, I love like Alberto Mondesi, Freddie Galvis, Mike Moustakas, like those guys have amazing swings. Their attributes are pretty good, but like I would rather have a Mike Moustakas over, I don't know, another high diamond lefty that I'm not good with, just because their swing is really good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get lost in that and they draft players because they look really good, but they actually aren't good at all. So that's another big thing. I mean, just draft people that you're comfortable with, that you know you're good with, because, you know, attributes do matter to a degree, but that swing and that power they generate with the swing is almost even better than that. So those are like the 2 like really big things I look for in Battle Royale, and then have really helped me out, you know, throughout the entire year, helped me go 27. Flawless runs.
When you're looking at like the diamond hitters, so obviously that very first round you get is an all 99 round. I think at this point it actually is truly an all 99 round, because when it first dropped there were still some 97s, 98s in there. That you just take the hitter you're most comfortable with.
Exactly.
Whoever it is, if it's Babe Ruth, if it's Lou Gehrig, doesn't matter what position, you take the player.
Right.
As you get later on, are there positions that you would recommend not taking a diamond in? Because like, so for example, I don't know if it's the same this year, but last year there was a diamond Gary Sanchez and obviously live series Gary Sanchez. I've heard people say, don't draft the diamond one. You'll probably get the silver one and it'll hit basically the same for you. Yeah. I don't know if those things go through your head, but is that something you could maybe explain a little bit?
Yeah, there's actually, I mean, when I draft, there's a lot of things that go through my head. So one thing kind of to piggyback a little bit off what you say, like a position I always like to leave open is left field, because left field, the low diamond is probably one of the best picks you can have. And that, you know, Jesse Winker, one of those cards right there that is really, really good. You have Brad Miller is another good one too. You know, they're really low tier, but those guys play so far above their attributes. It's such like a, I don't know. The pick goes way above what their actual rating is, or what, you know, their attributes show. You know, when I'm drafting too, knowing that, you know, first base doesn't really matter as much, right? You know, you can almost plug anybody at first base and be successful there. You know, Edwin Encarnacion has that silver card just as good as his diamond card, his gold card, all the cards that he has. So, you know, just knowing that, you know, again, a guy that plays way above his attributes as well, in my opinion. Contact's a little bit low, so, you know, if you're not good at the P side, it might not be amazing there. Third base, now that Alberto Mondesi is always there, I try to keep it open for a silver round, because most likely you'll probably get him. Mike Moustakas as well is another one there. Shortstop, got Freddie Galvis, like I said. Now he's you know, now that he's a silver there. I know positions that I want the guys that I want, like Moustakas, like I just said, those guys. I try to keep them open because I know, you know, more often than not, you'll probably get them. At least hopefully you'll get them. Catcher to me is another kind of a premium position too, because you don't want to get stuck with like a terrible catcher. Not that it really matters. Defense and catcher doesn't really matter that much, but like a Wellington Castillo, your mean Mercedes, those guys are just as good as those diamond guys, like a Mike Piazza. I would rather have a silver Wellington Castillo than a 99 Mike Piazza, in my opinion.
And unless I'm drafting Gary Sanchez, to use him as an example again, most of the time I'm hitting my catcher probably last, and I just need them to hit singles. It'd be great if they hit home runs, but just keep the line moving. That's like, I like that flashback Tyler Flowers. I don't know if I'm in the majority of the minority, but I really like that card. Tops now like Andrew Knapp, switch hitter, decent enough swing. You can hide him behind a lefty, so he's got the platoon advantage. You don't always have to, it's a power driven mode. So I'm not going to say disregard power, but at positions like that, just take the swing, even if it's low contact. Just get someone that you're comfortable with is really all it comes down to. Yeah.
I mean, and they're like, we've been over this too. There's so many cards that play way above it. I just recently found out Robo Garcia as one that's.
Oh, I love that card.
Yeah. It's funny. I never took him because I was like, his attributes aren't that great. And that's, I wasn't even taking my own advice there, but I saw Scuffy, I saw him tweet like 3 or 4 times in Robles in his batting lineup. I'm like, maybe I'll give him a shot. I'm batting above 600 with him. And this is with like 40 or 50 at bats. Like he has this leg swing. Like, I don't know, his swing is beautiful. It's like, he's got this like nice leg kick, and just the way that the ball, like the swing comes through, it makes so much power. I don't know. It's crazy. He might not have the best attributes, but again, a dude that plays way over, what he has. And another thing too, I forgot to mention is I like to try to get a good fielding center fielder and a good fielding shortstop, because if you have a really bad fielding center fielder, it's just, you're going to be screwed,
in bad
right?
shape.
Bad shape. You're going to miss, and especially this year, you miss balls out there. And like, if you're not running that down, that's going to be a double or a triple that, maybe you could have gotten to if you had, say, Mickey Mantle or somebody out there, just as an example. So those, I really need a good center fielders is a really big thing that I look forward to, at least fielding wise. And obviously you want to have good hitting attributes as well. So.
And we mentioned when it comes to redrafting, you need to you have to have more than 2 lefties. So you'll just redraft if you have 2 lefties. And we've kind of mentioned all these things here as far as like things I need, things I want, things I like. But at what point in your head are you like, I have to redraft this team? Like, what are some of the indicators for you where you're just like, it's not worth playing this run? Let's carry on. And by the way, before you answer, Ramon, I don't know how many more times to ask, buddy. We need a redraft button.
Yes.
Dude. I'm done hitting X a million times, slamming it to get to the end of the thing. Just give me like an R1 redraft or something, please. Thank you.
Yeah, there's like a forfeit, like an L1, like the forfeit where you can do like in events. I think you do like an L1 and forfeit it. Just before I started that, I've probably spent 3-4 million subs to redraft this year, because I need to have the team that I know I'm going to be successful with. And to me, the most important rounds are the silver rounds, because those are the cards you can get that either are going to be really helpful or really, really bad. So if I see a silver round, let's say that I still have a position player open, and I still have, I still have pitching open. I see a silver round like Bednar from the Pirates, Harold Ramirez from the Miami Marlins, freaking, those Duddy guy, Miguel Rojas, like all those guys right there.
Carrasco pitcher or something.
Yes. And exactly. Right. Yeah. It's like, I know that this round cannot make my whole entire team. So what's the point of me keep going to there? Now, there are some very seldom times, where I'll just go ahead and take a starting pitcher there, because the position player is not going to help me out. The pitcher sucks. I'm not going to take an Austin Adams who has a fastball and a slider. He might have good per nines, but fastball slider, you're playing against somebody good, they're going to pick that up. Sometimes I do trash that as a starting pitcher round, which I absolutely hate, but that's like the last little thing there. So I think if I know that I have a one or two silver rounds that are not great, I'm gonna just redraft it, because I know those are so important. I think the silver rounds are the most important in my opinion. Now, if you don't get a good 99 to start with either, that's just an automatic redraft. If I get like a Pee Wee Reese, or not, I don't know if Pee Wee Reese has a 99. Luis Aparicio, maybe.
Does he have Aparicio has like a 97?
97, yeah. But there's those 99s that suck. That we just know that. Obviously you're going to get a starting pitcher, and if you get lucky, you might get 3 position players, but sometimes you do get a reliever there too. So right after rip, if I know that I don't like the 99 there, I'm not going to try to do the team, because
like if it's like Minnie Minoso and Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan, let low key is kind of okay, but even
Yeah.
still, those are not the guys you want.
No, and like if I get like a Frank Thomas, Mickey Mantle, Cody Bellinger, those guys I'm gonna use. Spencer Torkelson actually ended up being pretty good for me in one run. Like those are automatic. I'm like, okay, I'll at least start this run. But then if you get it's not the second diamond round, because usually the second diamond round is pretty decent. You don't get two crappy cards, but the third diamond round you can get stuck with I got stuck with like Nolan Arenado. Who was it today? There's another like low like 90. It's like I don't really want to use these. Like they're not that great. It's not a great round. Not saying Nolan Arenado is not good, but that there's that low tier diamond round that you get to that I think is a really big cursor, showing what your team could be like. So silver rounds are always the most important in my opinion, besides the first 99 round. And if you just don't have a good round there, then I'm just redrafting automatically.
Yeah. Sometimes that second diamond round is essentially another 99.
Yeah.
So I had my draft is one of the biggest disappointments of my life. I lost at the 8-0 game. I had Babe Ruth and TA3 Trey Turner.
Yeah, Trey Turner is one of the best picks as a 99.
And I'm like, oh my God, what a team this is. I don't even care what the rest of it. I mean, the offense came together. The pitching was just not enough. And like you said, pitching is the most important thing. So yeah, I couldn't take it home, but I wanted so badly to just put up 10 runs a game with that team. It was incredible.
Yeah. One of the best, my favorites are you get that good 99 and you get a Mike Trout as a second high diamond. Because he plays so above. He pretty much is. I know everybody wants this this collection, Mike Trout or whatever, the MVP Mike Trout.
I don't think we need it.
I mean, it'll be cool, right? It's pretty much the same thing though. P5 Mike Trout live series is almost identical to what it would be. Obviously, it'll be a little bit better, but I mean, it's the same card essentially. So, I mean, I think you get Mike Trout that second round is probably the best pick, but Trey Turner, Cedric Mullins, those guys are really good as well.
My last question about draft strategy is you mentioned the golds. You like to get them as many as you can in the bullpen, like Trinan, other names that exist. Like there are plenty of other guys, but I feel like gold rounds are inconveniently placed within the draft. And I know the draft is kind of all randomized most of the time, but sometimes I feel like I get stuck with 3 gold starting pitchers and like a gold Jimmy Rollins.
Yeah.
And like all those cards are useless. So how do you like make sure you don't ruin your gold rounds?
Yeah, it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? Just like you said, it's random. Now, I've never found anybody to know that they can dictate each round. I don't know if people actually do know that or they know how to do that. Gold rounds I do like using as hitters as well. I think the biggest thing is right away you're gonna get a 99, right? Every single time. After that, you'll get a lot of bronze rounds too. So whenever you get bronze rounds, just don't I know there's a lot of people like to really like this bronze card, but just take the starting pitcher. Like that's, to me, it's probably the best thing to do.
It'll mess up the algorithm of the draft otherwise.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And so that's why I always, even if I love somebody, man, like today, I think I had Yoel Moncada on one of them and I love using him. I have a P4, right? And I love using him, but I knew I still needed 4 starting pitchers. So like,
I run into that with
Silver.
Yeah. If I see Edwin Rios, my eyes light up. I'm like, oh my God, it's Edwin, but you have to try your best to move on.
Yeah. You have to let those guys go. It's very hard. Like Christian Yelich is another one too. Like even though his attributes are terrible now, dude still bops. I mean, I'm still batting close to 500 with him. Hopefully you get lucky and they come a little bit later in the draft, but right away you're trying to get that starting pitching out of the way because that's the biggest thing. You don't want to get stuck with somebody good there. Like you said, you get a gold round that, you get 3 starting pitchers in that end up being a dud for you at the redrafted anyway. So always try to get those starting pitchers out of the way right away.
Yeah. When it comes to gold hitters, if you want to just rattle off a couple of your favorites, like Jordan for me is a must draft.
Oh yeah.
Cody Bellinger, now that he's back to gold.
Yes.
Like, who are some of those guys for you?
Keibert Ruiz, probably. I think to me, I think he's the best gold. I think he's overall the best gold that you can get. I mean, he's
so good.
Switch hitter. I think I have him at P4 now. He's just amazing. He's one of the best guys to get there. It used to be Jesse Winger used to be a really good one, but now that his like lefty attributes are not very good anymore. I don't really like that. Yeah. Jonathan VR, I think it's a second half, if I remember right.
I think it is.
Yeah, that card plays way above his attributes. If I see that card, I'm like, damn, like we're about to do something here. I'm trying to think about some more that
I like the flashback
blanking.
Sano.
Oh yeah, yep. Gold
I mean,
Snow.
you could
Yes.
probably do just as well with the bronze Sano, but
Mhm.
the gold Sano, your contact will
Yes.
just be higher.
Yes. Corey Seager, another one. I
Yep.
don't know. His attributes are a little bit lower now against righties, but still has that really, really good swing. Trying to think about any more that I could think about in the outfield. I have like a whole list I'd have to like look at again, but I mean, there are a lot of just, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that play way above their attributes. I know we talk about that a lot now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think the silver round is the most important in my opinion. As long as you get somebody good there, then you're good to go.
I love that, like with BR, there's like this romanticism of like suddenly Jonathan VR is everybody's favorite player in real life. Like Freddie, like Scuffy's the biggest Freddie Galvis fan probably in the world, and it's just like just because he bops in BR and now he's your favorite player. I think that's cool.
Yeah, there's a draft deck Mark. What was the dude's name? Jabari Blast. Blast is what it was. Yes.
He was a Padres guy. I think he got traded to the Yankees at one point too, but I think he's a Padres guy.
And the Angels, I think it was the Angels at one point as well. And I think that's where he started like he's like, damn, I love Jabari Blast. Like that ended up being like an actual relationship. Like they know each other. He's been in videos with him and stuff. Cool. So yeah, it's like a really, you start to like, you see these cards like, and like, granted, I didn't know who Keibert Ruiz was before this year. I don't really know much about prospects. I'm not going to lie. So it's really cool to see like, these guys that you might not ever know about, but I know him now. And now it's like, I'm going to draft this man. Like I've seen Scuffy, he gets Teoscar Hernandez freaking jerseys. You know what I mean? Like, and it's really cool to use these cards. And that's what I love about BR. I think above everything else is diversity, right? Ranked seasons to a degree, it's a lot better than it has been in years past with using different cards, but you're always facing a 99. BR, man, it is anything and everybody. And that's what I love about it. You can use bronze cards and still be successful. And that's what I love about BR.
And on the flip side of that, going into ranked a little bit, I think everybody in the world who plays this game hates DeGrom and Edward Cabrera. And like, it sucks for Edward Cabrera. I hope he has a great career, but like, I don't like him. I'm done with him. That's it.
Yeah. I think it was really cool though. When I think MLB tweeted about like how like it was a broadcast and they showed like how he was really good at MLB the show, like Edward Cabrera, like when he came up. I thought that was really cool. But yes, that's like Jacob DeGrom, Edward Cabrera, those guys like, damn, man, I don't care about these guys anymore. I've seen them way too much.
There does seem to be, by the way, more symmetry between MLB and its Twitter accounts with MLB the show this year. It feels like they've made like a real conscious effort to weave that in. Yeah,
they I don't know if you've noticed, but they have like an MLB gaming Twitter too.
And they're awesome. They're on top of their stuff.
Yes. And I think that was I think that started this year. I don't remember seeing the past. I'm not positive.
I think it just became a little more prevalent this year. I feel like it's existed before, but it was pretty quiet.
Yeah, but I think that they've like now that they have what? I don't know. If I look at how many people they have on their, how many followers they have now. So they have 30,000 followers, right? Like that's big for MLB. If I look at MLB the show's Twitter really quick, so many they have. So they have 410. Obviously, that's a lot more. But, having something that kind of puts them together, like you said, I think is a really big thing. And if I remember right, I think it was before last year or something like that. Freaking Rob Manfred talked about how they wanted to get like the esports and stuff like that. So, hearing that from a commissioner of the sport, I mean, that's pretty cool. Now, whenever we get to that point, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because obviously MLB the show is way far behind Madden, 2K, FIFA, NHL, all of it's way super far behind. And I hope that, at some point they can get that league going for them as well.
Yeah, it's also shocking to hear Rob Manfred say a good thing because he's an absolute moron. But hey, I mean, more power to him. Maybe he can redeem himself.
Right.
So guys, we've spent this whole episode talking about virtual baseball, and I hope it's been helpful because VR can be very frustrating. Up until this year, it's been very frustrating for me. And let's be honest, still very frustrating. Yeah. But at least I've hit the mountaintop. I've gotten there. And it's, listen, if you're struggling in BR or you feel like you're just about to get it, keep plugging at it because going 12-0 was the last thing I needed to accomplish in MLB the show. I made World Series. I did this. I did that. It feels so good to get there. But we're going to talk about real life stuff now. Reds Pirates fan. Sorry. Stop trading with Tampa. Just stop. Don't talk to them anymore. But you guys who listen to the show know I always like to ask the content creators, which cards for their favorite teams MLB The Show does not have right now. Pirates got big hits this year with Jason Bay and Roberto Clemente. Probably even some other all-time team guys that are just kind of escaping me, but clearly those are the two guys.
Yeah.
Is there anybody left? Like who do you still want?
It's so funny because Roberto Clemente is actually my favorite player of all time. So to get him into this game, and like the reason I have 21 in my name and the reason I wore throughout my baseball career was because of Roberto Clemente. So if you would have asked me for this year, obviously it would have been Roberto Clemente because I don't know. He's just a great player. He's a great human being. Jason Bay was another one. So they got like honestly, the guys that I wanted the most were those two.
Yeah.
Brian Giles, another one. He had some really, really good years with the Pirates. Doc Ellis. We had a Doc Ellis LSD. I mean,
Doc LSD. Yeah. A little milestone card.
Yeah. Cause I don't know if he threw a no hitter or what. I don't know. I forget what exactly.
Wasn't he the one who threw it? The no hitter.
I think it was no hitter, right? Yeah.
Else? Or was it J.R. Richard might have done it?
I think it was, I'm pretty sure
it might have been Doc Ellis. I think it was Doc Ellis.
Sure. Yeah, it was Doc Ellis. Yeah. So, Doc Ellis, LSD, no card, they can make that real retro. I think that'd be cool. Honus Wagner for a long time was another one that I really wanted. But they really got the two big guys that I want. I mean, Roberto Clemente and Jason Bay, those are the guys. Obviously, I wasn't alive when Roberto Clemente was, prevalent, but Jason Bay, when I was growing up, was one of my favorite players too. So I would say those two, obviously, and then you throw in Brian Giles and maybe a little Doc Ellis in there wouldn't be too bad either.
I mean, I feel like MLB or SDS rather does a very good job of representing pretty much all teams. Like if we're talking all-time team builds, most of the time the teams are pretty fleshed out. I don't know what the Pirates pitching staff looks like. That's probably the weak point if I had to guess. Yeah.
Yeah. This year now they've added so many new cards now too, especially with Tops Now and stuff like that. But I don't think to be honest, off the top of my head, I don't know if there's really anybody besides like a Garrett Cole that would be
like you could put Charlie Morton on it now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Charlie Morton as well. Yeah, so it's like
legends wise, Pirates legend pitchers, Doc Ellison, maybe I don't know who else there is really.
Yeah, I don't think there really is anybody. To be honest with you, now that I'm thinking about it.
I mean, there's probably plenty of guys who had 3 or 4 year spurts, but I don't know if we'd consider them all-time great pitchers.
I know. Goose Goss is with him, I think, for a half of a season or a year, maybe. Yeah, starting pitcher-wise, I don't think there's really anybody that I can think of as a legend. So, it'd be cool that granted, there haven't really been too many crazy starting pitchers for the Pirates either, besides, Garrett Cole for a little bit. But, yeah, starting pitching, I think, is always the hard thing for them. And in years past, too, before they added Honus Wagner, in 19, I think it was.
Or I think it was 19 because that was the collection. Yeah.
Yeah. And the all-time Pirates teams are terrible. So it's they're getting a little bit better now, especially the Tops now that they added with that stuff. It makes it so much easier for those cards too. So
I think so. Looking at a team like the Pirates and mentioning the pitching staff, this is a good way to balance content, but also the rights they're paying for. So I don't know if we have him this year, but last year we randomly had Steve Bedrosian. A right-handed Braves reliever who was an 82 overall and was literally hot garbage. Instead, let's take that money and let's get Damaso Marte's rights, who's at least a lefty reliever.
Right.
He might have a little bit of utility. He was also a Yankee, so I'm impartial. But, it's we can mix and match, I think, a little better instead of giving us Steve Bedrosian, instead of giving us, Luis Aparicio, great guy. I don't think any of us really, other than Adam, who loves to rake with Aparicio. I don't think anybody else wants his cards.
Yeah, they Robin Roberts is another guy that popped in my head too. They had last year. I think they had one of his cards and they didn't give him one above an 89. Or he had a gold card or something like that. But it's those cards are, at least our generation don't care about. I don't think there's very many people above our generation that play this game. So cards like that, people don't really. I could care less about Robin Roberts, Slaughter, freaking. I like Ozzie Smith just because I feel like Ozzie Smith is actually great. He sucks at hitting, but I don't know. He's not part of our time, but he's definitely a more relevant figure than
he bridges
Slaughter.
That gap, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, right. Where it's he's not too over a player, but he obviously isn't good either. But I don't know. I think that they I've always questioned their legends and when they drop them and stuff like that with some guys. Pedro Martinez is a huge get this year, right? Everybody wanted Pedro Martinez. Probably the most underwhelming card I think ever.
I think I've played close to 200 ranked games. which I know there are people who've played triple that amount. So I'm not going to pretend that's a lot.
Yeah.
But in like 200 ranked games, I think I've faced him 3 times.
Yeah.
And like, that's a guy who should be in your rotation if you get his rights.
He should be above else, probably one of the best pitchers in the game. And that's what everybody thought he was going to be. And he should have. I mean, he still should be. I mean, sometimes when they do cards, I just don't understand. Their attribute wise, why they do them some, why they do that. And especially now that you have these Tops Now cards that are better than Pedro Martinez, which I'm not against Tops Now cards. I like that because it gives like these people that would never have a card like that ever, in the game, to give them something to use.
Yeah.
But Pedro Martinez is undoubtedly one of the best pitchers ever. And the fact that he has 10, whatever it is, I don't know, 104, 103 hits per 9, 102, whatever it is, it pretty much makes him useless. It's really sad.
I've talked about this before, and I think it was on an episode by myself, so it probably sounded like I was rambling like a village idiot. But one of the inherent larger problems with MLB The Show and its content is balancing the difference between a career card like Pedro Martinez or a segment of his career into a card versus a 1 season or 1 game card.
Yeah.
Tops Now, 1 game. We're giving guys 120 power and contact against one side because of 1 game. And that card automatically has more utility than a card that, I don't know, over the course of a career just couldn't even stack. I don't know. There's got to be a better way to figure out the balance. I'm not the guy who's going to figure it out. I don't know, but I just think there needs to be more thinking. Yeah.
In no-hitter cards, right? No-hitter card didn't give up a hit. Why is there hits per 9 not 125? I'm not saying it should be, but with how they show it, that's what it should be, right? You don't give up a hit, your hits per 9 should be 125. And I think it's a really cool ad. The milestone cards are really, really cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it was amazing that they added that, but the no-hitter cards were not great.
They also broke the game a little bit.
Yes.
Because the hits per 9 are so, whether they're 125 or not, they're so high.
Yeah.
That with Outlier, with Legend, with Pinpoint, you're now giving us, like, my whole rotation, it's DeGrom and then no-hitter, perfect game, no-hitter. You have to do it that way.
Yeah, and that's with hits per 9 meaning so much this year, and it's always meant a lot. I don't know if they do something next year about that, they make it less OP, or what they could do about that. Maybe make K's a thing. Get rid of the outer PCI so that you don't give up a foul ball where nothing's touching the ball. I don't know. I'm not a game developer or whatnot, but the no-hitter cards I think they're a cool concept, just like Immortals. Immortals were a really cool concept, but they ended up being terrible for the game.
Yeah, they didn't hit it the right way. Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's it just, I don't know. I do like that they're doing content with different varieties. Second half was a really cool thing they added as well. So hopefully they continue adding stuff like that. But no-hitter cards were not great in my opinion.
Agreed. So, guys, we've had Ray on for probably about an hour right now. I think this has been a lot of fun. Talked a lot of BR, talked a lot of stuff in general. Some of these will be clipped on the TikTok. I'm not the most prolific TikToker, but we're trying. When we have opportunities to make some content, we're going to do that. So guys, make sure you look out for that stuff. Again, thank you for what I'm assuming is a fun birthday stream. Just to hang out with, whether it's 5 of you, 10 of you, 20 of you, doesn't matter. I'm having a great time. I appreciate you guys watching me be an idiot. But before we go, Ray, where can everybody find you? And other than BR, what are they looking for when they're watching your streams?
Yeah. So my name is Ray Cheesy21 on everything besides Instagram. The only thing is I have to put a little dash at the end. For some reason, somebody has my name on Instagram.
Bastard.
And literally don't have a post, have 1 follower, and I can't get it. So, boo them, whatever. When you come to a stream, I'm pretty competitive, but it's just chill atmosphere. I don't really get frustrated. I personally, I just don't cuss my stream either. Not that matters either way, because people do whatever they want to. So I'm kid friendly, I guess, to a degree. But yeah, I just like chill. I mean, I read all my chats. I'm not one of those people that never look at their chat. I interact with everybody in there. Even if they're acting stupid, I'll still interact with them.
You're a better man than I am.
I try to make everybody included, but sometimes you have to go away from some people. But yeah, I mean, it's just a chill atmosphere. I think if you'd ask most people, they would just say we chill, we have a good time, we have good conversation. It's something random every day. Usually revolves around food to a degree. I don't know why everybody loves talking about food. Everybody has opinions about food, so it's a really good thing to talk about on stream. But yeah, other than that, man, we just chill and just have a good time.
Cool. So guys, this has been the show, the podcast with 27 time and probably more by the time you're listening to this. Flawless Ray Cheesy. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Ray, thank you so much for being here. And we'll talk to you guys next week.